I do want to start with just kind of our global picture as we just came off of an 80-minute press conference with President Trump at the White House about the U.S. war in Iran. From your perspective, what impact have you seen on your company, on your country, and what are your thoughts on this war? Do you agree with it?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. In Argentina, as you may know, we have the second largest shale gas and oil reserve in the world after the U.S. And we have been developing, many companies in Argentina, we have been developing that huge reserve. But at the current pace of consumption, we have gas for 200 years. So our challenge is to accelerate the monetization of those huge gas reserves. And some of the ways we have been doing that is by investing in LNG and perhaps urea plants to use that gas. So what's happening is that Argentina, not being one of the big players in the energy market, is becoming a new player. And because of what's happening in the war, I think that importing regions like Europe are going to try to develop alternative sources of energy supply, and Argentina could be one of those alternative sources.
So connect the dots for us, because your investments are really diverse and the business spans many different industries: infrastructure, insurance, engineering. Why invest in a cement company like Brazilian InterCement? What does that do for energy? What does that do for your portfolio?
No, I think that is a separate investment, but it shows our confidence on the region. We go to InterCement, that is the third largest cement business in Brazil, because we started looking at Loma Negra, that is the largest cement producer in Argentina. So that's how we go to InterCement, and together with a group of investors, not related to Pampa Energia, we are now the controlling shareholders of InterCement, and in that way we have the ownership of a big, large cement business in Brazil, and also through that, Loma Negra, that is the largest cement business in Argentina. And we like it because it's once in a lifetime opportunity that you can buy so significant market shares in cement businesses in two countries at the same time.
So is the plan to integrate InterCement, which you said owns 52% of Loma Negra, into your construction business there in Argentina? Is that the plan ultimately?
I think there are some synergies, but InterCement in Brazil and Loma Negra in Argentina are very strong cash positive business on their own. So whatever we can use that as improve our synergies between our cement business, our construction company, and even our infrastructure company, I think that we're going to explore. But by themselves, they are a very good opportunity, very good companies.
We have so many questions about InterCement and about the different potential acquisitions that your company could do in the coming years. I'm curious about other sectors or industries for diversification for your firm, if you're considering moving into any other industries or sectors.
Yes, as I said before, we have huge gas reserves.
Okay.
And our challenge is to monetize that, to accelerate the monetization of those huge gas reserves. So we are doing two things. First, we are participating with other companies in Argentina to build the first LNG plant. So we are going to be exporting LNG for the first time ever beginning next year. And the other way we are analyzing opportunities is, for example, in the urea. Urea is a big input for all the agro sector in all Latin America.
It's a big topic right now because the Strait of Hormuz, so much flows through it.
Exactly. Latin America is importing 10 million tons from very far away countries, many of them in the Persian Gulf. And we think that by building a urea plant that is using our gas is another way to stop importing urea, that, as you know, is basically gas at 70% of the cost of producing urea. So those are the ways where once we have learned how to develop our Vaca Muerta, our shale gas reserves, we have to find the ways to monetize that gas.
So I want to go back to what Carol was asking about right at the top of our interview, and that's about the global economic environment over the last month, over the last 5 weeks at this point. In the wake of the war in Iran, the higher energy prices, has it made you accelerate investment into any other part of the company? Have higher urea prices, for example, said to you, this is an investment we need to make quicker because we need to be able to take advantage of these higher prices?
I think that in Argentina, all the companies are accelerating the programs. So, for example, we are investing in a huge oil pipeline to take the oil from Vaca Muerta that is on the Andes to the ocean to be able to export that. And as you may know, Argentina until a few years ago was a net importer of energy, and we are becoming a net exporter of energy. So the way this is affecting Argentina is that oil and gas exports in 5 years are going to be the same size of all the exports of the agro sector in Argentina. As you know, Argentina is known because it was a big exporter of farming sector, farming products. So now we are going to have a sector, an energy sector, exporting as much dollars as all the agro sector. So that's going to change the Argentina economic sector in a very significant way. And of course, all the producers, we are trying to accelerate those plans.
One thing I want to ask you, and kind of on this, Marcelo, is that you look at what's going on in Argentina. You've got growth slowing, wages down against inflation, prices increases haven't come down since last May. And I do think about the pressures that this war is causing globally. We talk about globalization, and certainly things can have an impact longer term, especially since you play into so many critical markets that have been affected by the war. And it sounds like you're seeing yourself and other companies ramp up. But are you worried about the economic outlook for your country and for the world?
I think that the war is going to be over. It could take 1 week, some weeks, but it's going to be over. And what I think that our challenge in Argentina is to present ourselves to the world as a reliable alternative source of energy. So Europe doesn't depend on Russia alone or on the Persian Gulf producers alone. They have an alternative, reliable source of energy. And that's our challenge, to show the world that we can produce that energy and we can supply that energy on a reliable way.
30 seconds left. So do you believe that out of this war, as people think increasingly about national security concerns and access to things like energy and oil and gas, that there will be some changes longer term in those global supply chains? And forgive me, just about 40 seconds.
Yes, I think that Europe, for example, needs to find alternative source of natural gas, LNG, and oil, and not rely only on areas that are, from time to time having this kind of conflicts.